Good evening, folks. It's Friday, TGIF. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. And you know who I have with me tonight. My guest, former Yonkers Police Lieutenant Anthony DiMaggio. Join us. Good evening, folks. It's Basement Politics. I am Freddie Vasquez. Tonight, Anthony DiMaggio, Yonkers Police Lieutenant. We've been on the show for a few weeks now, and people seem to enjoy what he has to say. And he's back. The talk of the town. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome former Yonkers Police Lieutenant Anthony DiMaggio.
What do you say, Freddie?
Good evening, Anthony. How you doing, brother? How's everything?
I'm good.
Yeah, man. I finally got my C of O. Actually, it's official. Final C of O. I got it. And so I was up in City Hall, this week, and I was in City Hall I think the week before also. Your name is ringing bells like penitentiary cells. That's a DMX verse. Yeah, definitely talking about you, man. Freddie V, what's going on? Mandinga Brown. That's my guy, Mandinga. That's his real name, actually. Don't add the O. It's with an A at the end, if you know what I mean. Anyway, Anthony, how's it going tonight, man? How's everything? Let the folks know. What are we going to discuss tonight? What are we going to get into this evening? Someone actually reached out to me and said, what time is Anthony coming on? So
I got a couple of texts. Yeah, what time we going on? And if we don't start right at 8 o'clock, my phone starts going off. When you coming on? You know.
I know. I'm at the mercy of my wife and kids.
yeah. I understand. So we digressed a little last week, but the week before that, we had started off with, the story that really led to my termination last November, and it all started at a crime scene one night. We showed video from the crime scene. 2 weeks ago, I put a little commentary over it, and then we wrapped it up. I don't really remember exactly where. I should have watched it before we came on tonight, but I think it was basically, my daughter's mother and I, who was one of the detectives at the scene, we started fighting with each other on the phone and on text messages like we always did for a lot of years. And she must have told Goomba, Anthony is pissed off. He said he's going to make a stink about this. I told him to talk to you. He said, no, thanks. I'm going to talk to somebody else, which basically means I'm going to go over his head, which is perfectly within my rights to do. And I'll argue that with anybody to this day.
Right.
That was a point of contention because nobody really knows how rank works in the YPD. But
right, because you were a lieutenant and he was a sergeant. He was a detective sergeant. You were a lieutenant of your patrol supervisor, and he made a call that was not his call to make.
Right. He overruled me. Right.
Yeah.
So I had seen this happen just way too many times. And actually what really had set me off, had really gotten under my skin, was the fact that one of the detectives, on that podcast a couple of weeks ago, I was calling paint chips. He actually deployed a diversionary tactic to keep me distracted while they snuck away off the scene. And that was like, enough is enough with this, And I do a little bit of a temper tantrum.
Well, at least you admit it, right?
I didn't say anything wild, like, nothing like psychotic, but I was cursing about people. Sure. There's a lot of people who worked in the detective division at the time who I just thought sucked as detectives and as cops generally.
Well, that's stuff that, kind of was also now used against you, right? So some of the text messages that you had sent to create, a narrative or, to say that you are, mentally unstable, that you're aggressive and
Well,
did you regret now? Do you regret sending those text messages or?
No, I meant every word of them.
I know you meant it.
I don't regret it. I mean, look, you can't, sometimes in life it's like, if I had realized just how insane John Mueller is, I wouldn't have even taken the early to a shot that day. Because actually, in some of the talks that followed, my father, who goes back way back to like 79, John Mueller is not the first screwball to be in a high place within the department. And, my father told me that, as the saying goes, it's like when you have someone like that at the top, just stay out of sight and out of mind. We all know you want to work, make money, go work an overtime shot on the 4 to 12, but the guy is nuts. Just lay as low as you possibly can. Don't get in his crosshairs. I made that mistake, but it is what it is. Campanini Dan Campanini, the now chief, later complained to Timmy Hodges that they were doing everything that they were doing behind closed doors to screw me over because I had disrespected Louis Goomba. And he was right. I did. I disrespected him. I have nothing but the utmost disrespect for him. He's an asshole. So I don't regret anything. But, I guess you do have to be careful when the insane police commissioner has a small army of crooked shrinks on his payroll who will say anything that he wants them to say in a doctor's report. You got to be extra careful,
So you're referring to, I just want to, put that, to context. You're referring to the psychiatrist that you were sent to go see, and they came out with reports, their reports stating, exactly what you say they wanted them to say, which was that you were, had all kinds of mental health problems and,
right.
Bipolar, possibly, right? It was one of the
well, bipolar is that's standard operating procedure for crooked shrinks. Anybody who's ever known an unruly or bratty teenager or two knows that a lot of times mom or dad will be concerned with their behavior and send them to a doctor or a shrink or whatever. Well, and they come back, oh, they're bipolar. It's like, I actually know a doctor who told me that happens all the time. It's overdiagnosed. It's made up because it's like, basically, if you've ever been happy and sad within the same hour, you're bipolar. It's a bullshit diagnosis. It's real.
I don't know.
Real.
I don't know if it's, I've worked, my wife being, in that field. I don't know if it's a BS, maybe there may be times when some psychiatrists may misdiagnose, someone, but, I know that, bipolar, it usually is, diagnosed in late teens, early 20s in individuals. That's usually like around the time. And my sister was also diagnosed, and that was around the age, that she was as well. And that's what also leads to self-medicating, among people who have bipolar, and they tend to, use drugs to cope with it. Yeah. And then just kind of.
But so one doctor that I spoke to later, he goes, how long did you talk to this guy for? I said, about 25 minutes. And he just starts laughing. He goes, yeah, this is
right.
It's a fraud.
So, I mean, that, so you're saying that that's what they wanted to do. They want, and look, you've shown, emails, or I should say letters from John Mueller himself, right? Praising you when you wanted to go to the housing unit. So, and saying that you were, an excellent choice, and that he had your, his full recommendation and all that. So it's very, contradictory to what is now being said about you. So there's definitely that contradiction there, so obviously, what you're saying, it could, very well be true, right? That they wanted to retaliate because now all of a sudden you're this basket case that they can't. You're a lieutenant that scored a perfect score. That's not to say that you can't still be crazy, right? It's a thin line between crazy and genius.
Yeah, but don't forget the flawless work record part.
Yeah,
there's actually case law out there that says that the best indicator of a cop's fitness for duty is his actual job performance, even more important than what a doctor says. Okay.
So you've never had any write-ups or anything like that? Nothing in your file, anything?
No, I had remember we spoke about that thing,
right? That one incident
with the troopers.
Right.
But yeah, that was, John Mueller slipped a notice of discipline into my folder for that, just so he could tell the troopers that he did that, and they wouldn't target Yonkers cops on the Taconic State Parkway.
Right. So they wouldn't be getting pulled over and getting tickets and stuff.
Oh, retaliation is a big thing in police culture, as you'll see. So
where do you want to start? I know you wanted to get. Go ahead.
Well, where we left off was, she and I are fighting that night on the phone and in the text messages, and he's starting to get mad because she must have told him that I was hot. So now he's calling me and he wants to give me the "I'm a made guy, don't even think about going over my head" speech. And I know what's coming because I know the guy. He's just I've already given him enough adjectives, but so I know what's coming.
They would end up using her against you.
Yeah, right, and we're gonna get into that. So Finally, after so many attempts of trying to call me and I'm just not having it, I do not want to talk to the guy. He leaves me that voicemail. Okay. Do you want to play it for good measure just to keep people on the
Sure. In case you didn't hear the voicemail left to Anthony by what's his name? Tell me what's his name?
Well, we call him Goomba here.
Right. That's what I wanted you to say because that's
yeah, right. His name's Lou Venturino. I came out and said his name when we were talking about the Danny Sullivan situation, but we'll just call him Goomba.
Voicemail. Yeah. And so when I first heard it, I was like, I was shocked, but then I kind of said, I shouldn't be shocked. This is
before you play it. Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, right. 1,000%. But, I should make a couple of comments before you play it. Even when you're studying for a promotion, even in the supervision books, it says when you're hot about something, when you're mad about something that a subordinate did or a coworker or whatever, don't address it right away. Cool down first, okay?
That's it. Yeah.
That was another reason that I didn't. I was hot. He was hot. I was hot. Nothing good can come of me answering the phone, and he's gonna run his mouth to me. I'm gonna run my mouth to him. We're gonna end up meeting on a street corner somewhere, fist fighting. I'm in uniform. Like, it's not gonna be good. So I don't want to talk.
Definitely not.
But that's against the rules. He's a main guy, and I have to answer the phone for him. If I don't, then something bad is gonna happen to me. Go ahead. We'll play it. You got it?
Yeah. First saved voice message. Sent yesterday, Monday, December 30th at 10:11 p.m. Duration 35 seconds.
Hey, listen, I know you're a lieutenant, but you have a problem with the detectives, you call detective sergeant. If you have a problem with that, you call detective lieutenant. I don't know who the fuck you think you are, but you want to play this game, you're going to lose it. I'll tell you right now. I don't know who the fuck you think you are. Save this message and play to whoever you want, okay? There's a chain of command. If you have an issue with a sergeant, you call my lieutenant. If you have an issue with a detective, you call the sergeant. Don't answer my phone call. I don't give a fuck about you. Wake up.
Nice.
I was hoping to bleep some of the curses with the rim shots. Didn't work out well. But yeah, so definitely, very aggressive. Not giving
now, believe it or not, right? Believe it or not, when I realized when my phone went off and it said you got a voicemail, I didn't even listen to it. I knew what it said. Didn't know exactly verbatim what it said, but I knew the gist of it, right? And there were a lot of reasons I didn't answer the phone. A, I was hot. B, I knew he was hot. C, I don't like him. And D, I know what he's going to say to me, and I'd rather he say it into a recording.
Well, that's good that you,
right.
I guess that was a good thing in hindsight that you.
But I didn't listen to it because I was already upset. I was already hot myself, just like he was. And I said, I don't even want to listen to this right now. It's just going to piss me off more. So I left it. I went to sleep.
All right, so let's get into it. So last where we left off, we're at the crime scene, right? You spoke about, we showed video of what happened there, and then not only about the fight that was crazy with the kid and the gun and stuff, but also what transpired after. When you arrived and the detectives arrived, you also made very clear that the mother of your child, the detective, was not in the air car, right? Did I get that right? Air car,
right?
That's the car that's that's supposed to go out to any new incidents or whatever, while the other detectives work on ones that they already have, cases they already have. And so the two, though, that came in, the other two, as you called, paint chips, and the blonde hair detective, they called the blonde hair detective actually called Goomba, as you call him, and said, listen, we don't want to deal with this crap, basically. And he gave him the okay. And then paint chip, being a paint chip, thought he could fool you with the whole pointing up, like, oh, we're going to go look at the cameras, and even looked into the garbage. I guess maybe he was hoping that they have a security camera inside the garbage as well. And then they just bounced on you. Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't up to the sergeant, or the sergeant that came in uniform,
right,
that told you, he said, hey, boss, they bounced on you. And I seen that guy. He said he's a very good guy, man. And he seems like a cool guy. And then, so that's what, led to everything here. Right. And so now what's next after that?
So the next morning I wake up and I go into the precinct, and he had actually called me again Goomba did early in the morning.
Oh, really?
Still in there. Yeah, I was laying in bed and I saw the restricted again, and I was half asleep, and I just, I'm not talking to him, so I'm gonna go. I wake up and I get out of bed and I get dressed and I go down to the precinct, even though I wasn't working. The first precinct where I work.
Right.
I want to let my commanding officer know what happened last night, and then I'm a little ticked off about it, and then I'm going to make a little bit of a stink. My first,
He didn't leave a message. I'm sorry, the second time. No message.
No.
Okay.
No.
Obviously, you'd have played it. No.
Yeah, no. So my commanding officer is the captain of the first precinct, Frank Cariello. Very good friends with all of these people, so I didn't really expect to get anything useful out of him, and he didn't disappoint. He was pretty useless. But I figured I'd let him know, and he tells me, all right, let me handle it. I'll talk to Campanini. Okay. I know what that means. That means he's going to forget about it the second I walk out of his office. He's going to laugh at me for thinking that I could do something about it, and things are going to go back to usual.
I mean, and really quick, is that something kind of that just happens? I mean, someone has a complaint about another officer, maybe, and he's kind of, like you say, a high-ranking and member of the other ranking system.
Right.
That just
exactly
basically, okay,
right.
Yeah, whatever, walk out and then just kind of ignore it. Yeah.
Exactly, but I wanted to be heard this time because, in my
Right.
opinion, it had happened enough times.
Well, you're being heard now, man.
Yeah, well, so I spoke to him. I still had to listen to the voicemail, but when I walked out of his office, I said, all right, I better listen to it. I know what it says already, but I better listen. So I went into the sergeant's office. I was a lieutenant, but I was hanging around with the sergeants, and they have a nice big office in the first precinct. And I was hanging around in there, and I listened to the voicemail. I said, oh, my God. It was exactly what I thought it was going to be, only even worse. So I said to Cariello and to his executive lieutenant at the time, real nice guy. I don't even want to mention his name. I said, you guys should hear this. You want to hear this? And they both said, no, we don't want to hear it. Because they know what it was going to. They know. I mean,
right.
Goomba was well known. Okay. His nickname was Louis the Liar. He was known for not telling the truth about anything. Had a notorious temper, bad drinking problem. So they didn't want to hear it. And I said, all right, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have to send an email to somebody. At the very least, if I make a stink, I'll get some attention. Maybe somebody will hear me out. Probably they're going to retaliate against me in one way or another. I didn't realize it was going to end up being quite as bad as it ended up being.
So you expected some retaliation.
Oh,
you just didn't expect this.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I didn't expect that she would ever participate in the retaliation.
Right.
So I wasn't even thinking, right.
I
wasn't even thinking like that. I figured they're going to do to me what they do to a lot of people. They're going to transfer me or cut me off from overtime or, something like that. And that's probably what they would have done if Mueller had not been the police commissioner, but he was the commissioner now, and he had a lot more tools in his retaliatory tool bag than he had ever had before. It was another oversight of mine. Hey, Charlie, how you doing, my friend?
Says hello, Anthony. Enjoying the show. And Charles Cola, how you doing, sir? Actually, I heard that he was actually laughing at you and not actually supporting you. But obviously, yeah. So obviously,
I doubt that.
Well, I'm seeing that's not. Excuse me, that's not true, right? That's why I wanted to put that up there. That's what I've heard.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, you had said that last week, but I didn't know you were talking about him. No, I'll guarantee you that's not true.
Oh, no, I see that now. The fact that's, comic because, the show, a lot of times people don't like to watch it live. They don't want to know. They don't want anyone to know that they watched, and they don't comment because of that also. So if you comment and then support like this, then obviously he supports you.
Well, Charlie understands the Yonkers Police Department as well as anybody, even though he retired, a lot of years ago. But he understands that this is, and let me say this is a point I wanted to reiterate. This is a game. This is not a case of psychological unfitness. This is a game, just like Goomba told me it was going to be. And it's a rigged game, just like he told me it was going to be. And it's still going on. It didn't end when I got fired. It's still going on, okay? Everything escalated like this. I did this, then they did that, and then I did this, and then they did that, and then before you knew it, I was fired, okay? It's a long saga, but right now we're getting into the early stages of it. So, right, yeah. He's saying it. What he's saying is it's so ridiculous that I don't even have to deny. That's not true. That's what he's saying.
Right.
Thanks, Charlie. Thanks for your support, man.
Oh, that's good. That's definitely important, for people to come out and publicly show support.
Yeah.
It definitely gives, lends you more credibility. Absolutely,
Right.
So
Okay, so I'm going to send an email to somebody. I don't want to do a write-up. If I do a write-up, if I try to write him up, then they're really going to come at me hard. But I got to say something. It's got to be in writing, so this way at least it's on the record that I complained. Who am I going to send it to? I can't send it to Campanini because he's a zero. He's not going to do anything about this. I've had the conversation, not directly with him, but I had it through Chiarella a few times. Anthony Chiarella was the detective lieutenant. He was technically, he's in those pictures that I sent you. He's an Olsenet, a full-blown Olsenet, a made guy. So he was Louis Venturino's immediate supervisor at the detective division. I had talks with him about this kind of stuff before. Okay, I'll talk to Camp, which means Campanini, and it never goes anywhere. I never even get, like a response about anything, So that's a waste of time. What I got to do is I think I got to send it to Joe Mock, who was the chief of the Investigations Bureau. Now, Joe Mock had never been in on any of these conversations before. So he was, in my opinion, he was less likely to ignore me if I sent him an email. Because what I got to do is I got to get some sort of a positive response from somebody before Mueller gets involved and tells them to disregard. Because then I have, a timeline of events, an email chain showing, look, yeah, right. Chiarella is the one on the left in the blue plaid shirt.
And don't mind me if I look away, Anthony. I'm just, going through
fine.
stuff to pull it up. So the part of me, but I am listening. Go ahead. And more importantly, people are listening.
Right. So Campanini, the detective captain of the detective division at the time, in my opinion, was a waste of time. I don't want to talk to just him. So I decided I have to send the email. Yes, he was. I have to send the email to the chief of the Investigations Bureau. That's Joe Mock. The only person in the department who outranks him is Mueller, the police commissioner. So if I get a good response from Monaco,
right,
and then he suddenly changes his mind and doesn't do anything, I'll know that it was Mueller that told him to change his mind, to not do anything, because he's the only person who can do that, is Mueller. He's the only person who can intercede and say, you know what, Joe? Goomba's a made guy. You're not going to look into that, okay? That's not how we do things around here. Now, Monaco didn't disappoint. Within 9 minutes of me sending out my initial email, and you can pull them up if you want, because I think we're into them now. Right? This was the one that I had sent out. We had gone through it in podcast number 6, where I was talking about the Black Shirts Internal Affairs and how they operate. It's basically like, look, we got to have a conversation about some of the stuff that's going on out there. And I'm not looking to get anybody in trouble. I think I even said that at the end of the email.
You said that, and I'll read it. Let me read it. Chief Monaco, there are some problems between patrol and the detective division that I've been privy to far too long now without speaking up. Many other patrol supervisors have also been hesitant to speak up, but things have gotten to the point where I believe that more damage will be done by remaining silent any longer than by making waves and addressing the matter through official channels. There was a matter on the early tour last night, in my opinion, was handled exceptionally poorly. The detective sergeant on duty intervened in the preliminary investigation of felonies via telephone and overruled the ranking patrol supervisor without consultation based on incomplete and inaccurate information provided to him by the DD Air Car, that's the detective division. When it was made clear that these actions were not appropriate and that the matter would be addressed with those in his chain of command, he became irate and left a voicemail, which we just played, of an aggressive, confrontational, and threatening nature on my cell phone with the specific request that I keep it and play it for whoever the F you want. I saved the voicemail as he requested I do. I prefer for the matter to be resolved peacefully, so I'm asking for your help and advice. If I was wrong about thinking the incident was a detective division's matter, then I will accept the responsibility for making a bad call. I don't believe that to be the case. However, and either way, what followed after I made the calls was nothing shy of disgraceful. Please lend your counsel on the matter. I'm not sure where else to go. Thank you. And, and honestly, just reading this, I mean, it doesn't look like you were looking to get anyone like in trouble. It just seemed more like, hey, this is what's going on. Maybe we can have a conversation about it or something, address it, so we can, not have this happening moving forward. Right.
Right.
And
right.
But that set the whole chain of events.
Yeah, I knew that they had probably known some of the insults that I was throwing at people in the detective division when I was talking to her that night, you know. So I knew,
okay.
right.
So
So it wasn't like, it wasn't like I was completely and totally in the right. I was, as far as the way the job was handled or not handled, I should say. But as far as the way I handled it, the way I reacted, okay, maybe I shouldn't have uncorked the way I did. But that wasn't uncommon between she and I. I mean, she and I have been
Right.
dating since 2008, and we've been doing that, I think, since probably our second date. Like, we're just, I mean, we're two peas in a pod, she and I.
Right.
So after I send out that email, and there were a few other people courtesy copied on it, Dan Campanini,
Yeah.
Anthony Ciarella, my captain, Frank Cariello, and Timmy Hodges was courtesy copy. I hit send and I leave. I drive back to my father's house, and as I'm pulling into the driveway, Timmy Hodges calls me. He says, "What's going on?" And I sat in my car in the driveway for probably 15 or 20 minutes talking to him, telling him about it. And he goes, "Yeah, of course they shit canned it. You called them during dinner." I said, "Yeah,
Right.
okay. Well, there's a way to shit can things, Chief. I mean, the older guys were good at this. They would come up to you, they would tell you, like they realize that your other cops are watching what's going on. So they would walk up to you and they would show you the respect. They would say, 'Hey, LT,' or Sarge or whatever. Just have the patrol guys write up a report and send it down, and we'll process the gun and we'll do all this, blah 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 blah, and we'll take care of it. And we got to go do something else right now, or something like that." And
I
you
had
would
a
say,
little more
"Yeah,
respect about it,
yeah, right." So yeah, all right. They wouldn't try to distract you while they snuck off the scene, which is just because that's undermining. You
That
got
was
10 or
funny.
12. You got 10 or 12 brand new patrol guys standing around, and you're their boss, and they just saw you get treated like an asshole. And now maybe they think they can do
Right.
that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's no
Yeah.
good. It's no
Yeah.
good.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So, he and I were laughing. We had no idea where this was going to end up going. But let's go back to the emails.
I got the one from Campanini pulled up here.
Yeah. Well,
the
let's
next
go back.
one?
Let's go back to the one with Hodges.
To the
'cause that's-
first?
Yeah.
To Hodges. Hold on one
Let's
second.
just go through all of them real quick. Most of them are short.
All right. So take a look at this. Good afternoon, Lieutenant DiMaggio
no.
from.
Yeah, no,
No.
that's later on. The original chain, the one we were just looking at. There's 20 emails in that email chain, in that file that I sent you. Right. And if you keep going down.
All right. Oh, yep. There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Now the next one is important. Okay. This is within 9 minutes. Monaco says, "Oh, absolutely. Save the voicemail. I'm going to look into this. Either me or Captain Campanini will be in touch." Okay. That's the response I'm looking for. I know it's not going to go anywhere because I know that he's going to call Goomba when Monaco reads this email. He's going to call Goomba. What's going on? When they get off the phone, Goomba's going to call Muller. When they get off the phone, Muller's going to call Monaco and say, "Step aside. DiMaggio goes down. Step aside." Okay? I know that's going to happen, but I want this response first because this
You want to
response
have
is
a
probably
paper trail.
right. I want to have a paper trail. Exactly. So I get that response, and then there are more emails. So you can scroll down, and yeah. So this is just okay. Thanks. I will do now.
Right.
Now,
you're good here, right?
yeah. So this is Monaco. Is everyone available to meet my office on Friday at 1 p.m.? Now, this email I had sent out was on the morning of New Year's Eve. Monaco wasn't in that day. It's New Year's Eve. He wasn't going to be in the next day. It's New Year's Day. So he wanted to meet. Is everybody available to meet? He saw that there were other people courtesy copied on this email chain. So this is him saying, "Does everybody want to meet and have a little chat about this in my office after we swear in new detectives on Friday? Please advise." And then everybody kind of responds, "Yeah, I'll be there." You can scroll down a little bit. And yeah. Okay. All right. Now this is Hodges. This is Hodges weighing in. He spoke at length with me. He says
Right.
that I would like to meet Friday at 1 p.m. I don't remember saying that to him, but whatever. He put it in an email and said that I had requested to meet, which was fine with me. I didn't care, but I don't remember requesting. I suggest we put a rush on the video. They do have the video. The department has the official versions.
Why do you think maybe Tim Hodges might have said that? Was that just an innocent mistake or something? Or
Because obviously we're going to have a chat about the way things were handled.
right.
And there's going to be two disagreeing sides. Campanini is going to be quick to defend his people. I'm going to be in there making accusations. So I think Hodges, being level-headed, says, why don't we just get the video and see what really happened before we all get in the same room and start getting at each other's throats.
So I guess he was kind of doing that, even though you didn't say that, maybe he just doing that kind of to help you out, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Okay.
Timmy was the patrol chief. He was the field services bureau chief. The version Lieutenant DiMaggio apprised me of clearly has him making a right call as the highest ranking street boss, asking for the DD to investigate an assault 2, which is a felony. Even if it was just an attempted assault 2, it's still a felony. But we should investigate properly and get all the facts. Lieutenant DiMaggio does not wish to discuss the situation with Venturino, who continues to call him on his cell phone.
Yeah.
Right. So Hodges must have told Venturino, lay off.
Someone says here, reporting bad policing costs this guy his career. Mayor Mike Spano allowing that to happen is outrageous. That's what they do to good ones. Make them a villain.
Yeah, if you don't lay down for them and, dance to their tune, you dance to the right tune, not the tune they want. But you can scroll down a little bit and we'll keep going. We'll get through these. All right, now this is Monaco.
To Tim.
Yeah, like a dope, he's hitting the reply to all button. I shouldn't be getting these emails that he's sending to Timmy Hodges.
I've gotten emails like that, man. One time, an email, someone making a mistake like that, got me $80,000 more.
Oh, good. Good for you.
Yeah. That's a true
someone
story.
to make a mistake like that with me.
That was a true story.
The DD did, in fact, take a job on the incident in question. Now, Hodges later told me when we met in his office that what they did was they scrambled after I made a complaint. They got
sure because they weren't supposed to do that. I mean, that was just flat out wrong.
They scrambled to cross the T's and dot the I's. They opened an ATF investigation, or they notified the ATF about the gun, which is what they're supposed to do when they recover a gun. Timmy told me they were scrambling. So this is Monaco sticking up for his guys. And now this sentence is important. I think that this has transformed more into a personnel issue. Now, what this is Campanini telling Monaco, oh, he's making a stink because his daughter's mother was involved in this.
Right.
That's Campanini sticking up for his own personnel. And he's telling his bureau chief, oh, he's not mad about what happened at the crime scene. He's just mad because it was her that walked away from him, which wasn't true because she didn't have anything to do with the decisions that were made at the crime scene. She wasn't the air course. She didn't call Goomba to ask his permission to overrule me, to walk out on me. And she wasn't the one who pointed up and basically tried to distract me while they walked out. She didn't do anything wrong. She was just the one that I called to bitch about it.
Well, they probably, obviously saying that just so they can start creating some kind of, narrative against, against you and to kind of have a contradicting story to make themselves look good. Discussing how much self-empowerment these folks get with the gun and a badge.
You talking about me or these other people?
I would imagine they're talking about those other folks. I could be wrong. Division. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry. Next one.
He says, I'll call you offline. I guess he must have talked to Hodges. Yeah, next one. Now, this one, when I finally come out of this, all right, this is going to be the email that's my saving grace. Okay? One of them. There's another one where Mueller gets involved, but this is the first one. This is the only time Campanini weighs in this email chain. He's the detective captain. He's the captain of the detective division. Okay?
Right.
You want to read it or should I read it?
Yeah. I'm Good Friday. As for the incident on South Broadway, CSU processed the scene and collected the firearm. Detective Farina, is that paint chip? Was notified Detective Farina was notified by Lieutenant Chiarella to open an ATF investigation into the firearm recovery, as is our DD protocol. These protocols are in place. However, I'm sure Lieutenant DiMaggio is unaware of them. The DD did not intake an assault 2 investigation as there was no victim. The video shows what could be an assault with the firearm. However, without a victim, we cannot confirm an injury. I believe 3rd Precinct units did canvass for a victim and check the hospitals. However, none were located.
Now,
would have preferred. Go ahead.
Now, this next sentence you're about to read is what is the meat and potatoes of this email. He tried to sugarcoat it at first before he gets to this. Go ahead.
But real quick, they're saying they don't have a victim, but there is a victim. Maybe they just haven't located him, and they don't know who he is, but there is one, right? So there's still a crime there. Anyway, so I'll read it. I would have preferred the job be opened yesterday as a DD investigation and transferred to Detective Farina, but that was not done, and have conveyed this and the reasons why to my staff. I review jobs daily and normally take this action if I see something which I feel is an error. However, I feel there are some deeper issues involved here, which I would like to address with everyone in the room, Lieutenant DiMaggio included. Happy New Year, everyone.
So what he's saying is, I concede Anthony was right. What he's making us think about, he was right. But I don't like the way he handled this.
Right.
So at this meeting that we're going to have in a couple of days, I'm going to hop all over him about his relationship with his daughter's mother. That's what he's saying. Now, why do I want to go to that meeting? Why do I want to go to that meeting? No reason at all. He already admitted that I'm right.
You were right. Yeah, you were right. But forget that. Let's talk about DiMaggio and the mother of his daughter. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sorry, the higher ups that you are supposed to rely on for support get big headed, not you. That's what they were clarifying.
Thank you.
They're going to divide and conquer and tarnish your reputation.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Shaking my head. What a shame.
So, after I see this email, the whole point of me even wanting to take part in this conversation that Timmy Hodges and Joe Monaco had set up was because I wanted to get my point across. And I wanted someone to tell me, like, all right, we get what you're saying. He just did that in an email.
Right.
So now what do I have to go to that meeting for? Why do I want to go to that meeting? To get dogpiled?
Right.
Because Campanini, who's a total zero, that's why I call him Breadstick. Because he's tall, skinny, and hollow. He's gutless.
You have a nickname for everyone.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I have a few myself, but I'm not going to share those. Let someone else share them.
Next email.
And so this is...
Thanks, Dan. Happy New Year. See you Friday.
So now this is me. I'll be there, Chief, and I'll respectfully reserve my account of what happened for the meeting, okay? This is not personal at all, okay?
Right.
And now scroll up a little bit. Try to show these two emails together. That one, yeah, that's good. That's perfect. What happened in between? What happened in between December 31st at 3:13 and the next day, January 1st at 6:14? Well, I'll tell you what happened, okay? On the morning of January 1st, I was driving up to my sister's house up in northern Westchester. And I said to I'm thinking about it, I'm kicking it around, and I'm saying, I don't want to go to this meeting, but if I have to, I don't want them talking about my personal business. So what I'll do is I'll ask a union guy, someone who I had already spoken to about the issue, someone who himself had similar problems as a patrol supervisor. He was a lieutenant, and he knew exactly what I was talking about. He said, this stuff happens to me all the time. I spoke to a couple of other lieutenants and patrol sergeants and stuff like that. They say, yeah, it happens all the time, this kind of stuff. We can't stand it. I said, all right, well, then so I made us think about it. And, so now it's going to be an issue. Whatever. So I said, but I don't want him talking. I don't want this moron, Campanini, talking about my personal business when it has absolutely nothing to do with what I'm talking about here. It's going to be easy for him to spin it that way because she was there. Right. And I did throw a temper tantrum with her a little bit, So I did.
But I mean, but regardless of the fact, I mean, it is what it is. It still happened, right? I mean, it's not like you're creating something because of a personal issue with the mother of your child, right? Something actually happened that and that's the point.
It was entirely, genuinely work related, but Campanini, wanting to defend his own subordinates and by extension himself, because he's the one who allowed this kind of nonsense to go on all the time. He wants to go on the record basically spinning it against me. Like, don't make us think about us just because you have issues with her. And it just couldn't be anything further from the truth. So I told this union guy, come with me. You know what they'll probably do? They'll probably cancel the meeting right then and there the second we walk in. Now, he tells me on the phone, he goes, I got no problem with that. I'll come with you. But I'm going to let Mike Koch know. Now, Mike Koch is the CLSA president in name only. The real president of the CLSA is Mike Spano. Okay. But he's got his puppets in there. And Mike Koch is the current puppet at the time that this was going on. So he says, I'm going to tell Mike Koch. I said, don't do that. You know what he's going to do. He's going to call up to the third floor and warn them. He says, I got to do it. He calls Mike Koch. Mike Koch calls Chief Joe Monaco, and who says to him, who tells Koch, yeah, that's fine. But some, he inserted a couple of qualifications. That's fine, but this and that. And Koch calls the union guy that I was talking to, who calls me and says, the chief is fine with it. Okay, so the chief is fine with me bringing the union to a meeting where I know I'm going to get totally dogpiled, unjustifiably. This doesn't make a lot of sense. But sure enough, by that evening, right, and I think I had told you my grandfather died not long after all this happened. He was on his deathbed at the time these emails were going out. So when I left my sister's house, I went down to be at my grandfather's bedside while he was dying, and my phone goes off, and I see this email from Monaco.
Yeah, they say when it rains, it pours.
Right. They're canceling the meeting. Unfortunately, we are going to cancel our scheduled meeting for this Friday at 1 p.m. Now, my father was sitting right next to me when I got this email on my phone. And I said to him, what do you think of this? He reads it. Unfortunately, we're going to cancel our scheduled meeting for this Friday at 1 p.m. I have spoken with your bureau chief, and he will reach out to you in order to retrieve the voicemail left on your phone. That's Hodges he's talking about. Hodges is going to handle this.
Right.
As you have requested, the issue will be officially addressed once we listen to the message. Now, when I told my father, when I let him read this, and he goes, well, what's up with that? He goes, why did they change it? I said, I don't know. The only thing I know is that in between the last email and this one is that I spoke to the union guy and asked him to come with me. He goes, oh, well, that's what happened.
Right.
You got the union involved. So the chief canceled the meeting, right? Because now whatever it was that they wanted to yell at you about, they can't do it anymore. It's probably it's probably illegitimate. They're probably going to yell at you some shit that they shouldn't even be saying to you. Right. But because you got the union involved, they canceled the meeting.
I mean, and you've mentioned, you mentioned that the union did not fight for you, right? And you even shared a message from, I think Mike Hanley is the guy's name, saying that he just couldn't see what you were saying. I just don't see it here, And so could it be also that they wanted to speak with him first and kind of get him on board and on the same page before he met, before he was involved in any meeting?
No, I mean, like I said, the union is a non-existent thing. It exists on paper, but the Spanos for years, and it may have even gone before him, before Mike took over in 2012 as mayor. But it's essentially whoever the union president is selected by the mayor and is essentially installed to hold the position, so that a real union president, someone who cares about the membership, can't step up and take it.
Right.
They can if they want to run, but they're going to be retaliated against ferociously, a la Ray Montero, like he tried in the PBA.
Right.
Okay. And at one point, the Spano's own brother, Gerard, who's a detective in the Special Investigations Unit, wanted to run against Keith. You know what they told him? They said, if you do that, we'll transfer all your friends out of SIU. You're our brother. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that to you. You're our brother, but we'll do it to all your friends. I have that from a couple of very good sources.
And why not have him as the? Why would that be a problem? I would think that'd be even better for the Spanos, maybe, if they're right.
For them, it doesn't get much better than Keith Olsen, from what I've heard.
Oh, wow.
From what I've heard. Again, I can't confirm that. I've seen a lot of things that tend to corroborate it, in my opinion. But it's just what I've heard. So anyway, the union is a non-entity. The union boss, it's actually worse than he doesn't care about the membership. He actually works against them on behalf of the mayor, because then the mayor rewards him when he leaves the office. We've been through that. Right. We'll go through it again.
Yeah. And so they canceled the meeting on that Friday, and then what happens next?
Now, this is where I think, Mueller was told, Anthony got the union involved for this meeting we were supposed to have, so we canceled it. Or no, so we don't know what to do.
Johnny Limo says, I heard it a few times too.
And this is where I think, and I could just picture Mueller saying this. I could just picture him squirreling out and saying, oh, okay, he wants to get the union involved. Let him take the union to internal affairs, right? Because they can't just sit me down in an office and smack me around about my private life. What they can do is force her to go down to internal affairs and make a complaint against me. Then they can launch an official investigation
into your personal life.
You know what I'm saying? Right. As long as they have her saying that, She has all these concerns about me and my behavior. And look at these vulgar text messages I sent her on the night of the of this dispute. And so by offering her the carrot and the stick, you're going to get your ass down to internal affairs because we want a pound of flesh from him. We're not good enough with the meetings canceled and everything's going to move on now, nice and quiet. No, we don't. He crossed the made guy. If
some
we
people
allow this
have.
to happen, yeah.
I'm sorry, not to cut you really quick, but some people have said that, because again, you know, this podcast, what you're doing, everything you're saying is people are talking about it, and one of the things that has come up is the fact that, the mother of your child, gave them information from her cell phone, and from what you said, they kind of really put some pressure on her and stuff like that. But people have said, man, that's kind of messed up, even still, I wouldn't have done that. What would you have to say to those people who say that?
What I have to say to them is you have to understand her situation as compared to mine. She is a single mother of not only our 8-year-old girl, 2 much older sons from a previous marriage who both live with her. Like I said, she grew up in a really tough neighborhood down in the South Bronx, in a poor neighborhood. Her family didn't have a lot of money growing up. There are times, where the people still living down in the Bronx, her mother, her aunts and stuff, sometimes depend on her for financial support from time to time, not routinely, right. but sometimes when things come up, she can never afford to lose what I've lost.
Right.
She doesn't have
too many people seem to depend
right.
on her, financially. Right. So, and you've defended her, right? And so that's what you haven't said anything, I hate her, I want her to go down also, but you've defended her, and you've said I can understand where she was coming from, and you actually are even upset at individuals for putting her in that position. And you made that very clear, and you want them to kind of back off her and leave her alone and leave her up out of this, so I can tell that you love her. I can tell that you do love her, and even still to this day. And, and I can understand being a married man. I've been with my wife since we were 16 years old, and a long time. And so, when you love somebody, right, and you get upset more. Like my wife says, why do you can get upset like that, and get mad at me for certain things, and other people, get mad. I said, honey, because I don't care about the other people, right? I can just never deal with them. But, I love you. I don't ever want to be away from you, right? So and so that's what it is, and that's why maybe your relationship, you guys kind of, because when you have that much love, sometimes, that kind of, they say there's a thin line between love and hate, but I just think it's, that passion there. So I can sense that. I just want to point that out. I could tell that you love her, even still.
Yeah, I mean, look, she, I know, and even people who are around me who know her well too, like my parents and stuff, they always say, look, she did this voluntarily. I said, I bet my life, I won't even think twice that she did not. I know her too well. She would never do this. First of all, she's a veteran cop. Okay. So she understands how taboo it is for one cop to go down to internal affairs on another over bullshit. Okay. If you're going to go down to internal affairs on another cop, it better be serious.
Right.
And then it's fine. But over nonsense, over text fighting, which we've been doing for
right, especially
it's never
the father of her child too,
Okay, you have her immediate supervisor, a known scumbag. And I was recently told that that's like a really bad word. Is that a really bad word? I don't think it's a really bad word. It means like dirtbag, doesn't it? Dirtbag, right?
I think dirtbag is a little lighter, more.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm going to stick with scumbag. The guy's a known scumbag, okay?
Right.
Venturino, Goomba. And he's telling me, you want to play this game, you're going to lose it. Now, this is a guy who I know has taken part in set up missions against other people with Mueller and the other Olsenettes. I have Campanini in an email clearly expressing his frustration, right? Basically saying, there's things I want to say to everybody in the room, including Lieutenant DiMaggio. Right. Well, what does that sound like? That sounds like hostility. So you have our entire chain of command up to this absolute lunatic, this Hitler-headed nutcase, John Mueller, with this long history of workplace retaliation. All of these people want my head on a platter. And 3 days after this whole situation, she's down in internal affairs making complaints about me. How How good does your vision have to be to read this one? You know what I mean?
No, I definitely don't. I don't ever believe that she did that, willingly. Definitely not. I don't think, but other people, even and I asked because even other, even still, it wasn't, willingly, and she may have been, had pressure put on her. People, some people have said, I still wouldn't do that. I could never do that. Even if I'm not with the person, the spouse, and I always say to people, listen, just, you don't know what you do because you're not in the situation, right? I'm not saying that, they wouldn't do that. I don't know. Just, you can't really, you can't.
Well, she has a big temper. She has a big temper. She's a real big temper. And, my guess is they played the card. Oh, well, you're going to get written up, and it's going to be because of him. So go thank him.
Right.
But
you also mentioned too that that they did do the wrong thing in a sense by leaving, and that they could have came down on them for that. Either you play ball with us, or we're gonna come down on you guys for this.
This is how the Spano crime family works in the stores, right at the top in City Hall. Okay, this is the way they did it with her. But this is stuff that Mike Spano does on a daily basis anyway. The carrot or the stick. Okay, we want his head on a platter. Now, according to what he said, you and your coworkers, we can write you guys up based on his complaint. That's the stick. Or if he does go under the bus, if you cooperate with what we want you to do, we got a little something in store for you, something nice.
All right.
You see what I mean? Okay, it's the carrot or the stick.
Plata o plomo.
Right.
Let the money. That's how the cartels say. You either take the money or take the bullets.
Exactly.
Give me the money.
Exactly. And that's what happened here. So where were we in the emails?
So you finished reading the one from Deputy Chief Monaco. They're saying that the meeting was canceled, unfortunately, and they will reach out to you, retrieve the voicemail left on your phone.
Right.
So,
let me take a look.
Let me bring that up. Yeah. So we then.
Okay.
Commissioner Mueller gets involved.
Right. Now Squirrelhead himself is involved, and you can see it with his name appearing in the courtesy copy box. I never courtesy copied him on the initial email that I sent out, but now he's involved. Why? Because
I don't know.
Yeah, well, I'm going to tell you, because Goomba called him and said, this is what's going on. We got Anthony DiMaggio has to go down. Now, I guarantee I was not intended to be a recipient of this email, but I got it. Monaco was in there clicking the reply to all button. Maybe he did intend to send it to me as a way of letting me know, hey, look, I'm not the one that shit canned this. I want you to see John Mueller's name courtesy copied. I think the more likely scenario is he just hit the reply to all button by accident.
Right.
And this is him telling Tim, I have met with Internal Affairs and Dan Campanini, who was Goomba's boss down at the Detective Division, to discuss some issues with regard to Anthony DiMaggio's complaint. We have decided that his complaint, specifically with regard to Sergeant Venturino's conduct, meaning his voicemail, should be handled not by Internal Affairs, but by you as a command level investigation within the Field Services Bureau. That should say field, not filed. Okay, yeah. Makes no sense whatsoever. Venturino Goomba he's an investigations bureau sergeant. So why would the Field Services Bureau chief be launching an investigation into his behavior? Makes absolutely no sense. But that's Mueller telling Monaco, no, you're his real boss. We're not having you look into it. We're going to shit can this. We're going to make it look like we're doing something. Let Hodges put on a show, tell Anthony to write up, something on an official apartment document, and we'll just send it to the shredder, and Timmy can say he did something about it. Then we go after DiMaggio. Okay, that's what's going on here. That's why he was courtesy copied. That's why Monaco inserted his name into the courtesy copy box, because he wants Mueller to see, look, I'm doing what you told me. I'm looking the other way and telling Timmy to handle it. Right. So this is going to be the other email. That's my saving grace. Mueller is clearly pulling the strings now.
Next email.
Yeah.
Chief Monaco initiative. Okay, I'll go all the way down here. All right, and so Tim Hodges saying agreed.
Right. Now that's I later asked Timmy Hodges, did you really agree to that? Because it doesn't make a wink of sense. And he goes, oh, I don't really remember. I must have really agreed to it. I'm thinking Mueller pulled both of them behind closed doors and said, this is what's going to happen.
Right.
So Timmy went along with it. That's what I think happened.
And you've mentioned this before, and I have as well. And I know Tim. He's a good guy. And a lot of people have always said nice things about him. I've never heard anything bad about him. Actually, that's the truth. And you have to balance that, right? It's like you got to play the game, but you want to be Yeah, how do you do that? You know, how do you be totally, I mean, I'm not saying that he doesn't have integrity or other people have integrity. I'm saying that how do you really like kind of do everything by the book and be honest?
Well, you can't. When Mueller is your boss, you can't do anything by the book.
It's like it's like very difficult.
I mean, I did things pretty much by the book, which is why I was getting retaliated against. So I mean, how do you, the guy retaliates against you without a first thought. Really, he doesn't even think about it once. Never mind twice. He's on auto retaliate because he has mayoral protection. He's got the lawyers, he's got the doctors, he's got the mayor who's going to cover up everything he does. So why not, right? I mean,
I don't know. Is that's what he?
Okay, so now Cariello's emailing me. The chief has requested that you write out your complaint and it will be forwarded to his office through official channels.
Right.
And if you read the cute little remark I wrote up there in red ink,
I'm not taking this bait. First of all, it was never my intention to write anybody up. Second of all, anything I write up on Sergeant Venturino is going right through the shredder the moment I hand it in. And yeah, that's what I said early on, that, when you first sent an email, you didn't want anyone to get in trouble. You were simply just looking to have a discussion about this so it doesn't happen again moving forward. And I don't understand why it went so far. And you're saying it did because you didn't respond to the phone call when he left the email. Rather than just saying, hey, no, I'm saying that, I don't see why it went that to the point where it's at now, when all you wanted to do was talk about it. But you had said that, the reason why it did go this far is because you didn't respond when he called. And I guess, but still, I mean, why just not say, hey, you know what? Okay, we'll talk about it, whatever. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I guess it's the hothead thing, like you said.
These are all dinosaur cops from the pre-Chucky era. They had a whole different way of doing things. They really thought they were gangsters. They really thought they were mafia guys.
Yeah.
So they walked around on auto retaliate because they never had anything to worry about. They have an army of attorneys up at Corp Counsel. They have all the taxpayer money in the world to pay those attorneys with. They can bring in outside attorneys. They can have doctors, crooked shrinks help them out. They have a mayor who's going to try to, sweep everything under the rug to protect his own bad judgment.
And just for case people watching for the first time may not or maybe not seen the episode, you had a relationship with the Spanos, the mayor and his family, right? I mean, your families were close at one point.
Yeah. I was out drinking with Vinny a couple of months ago. He actually references that in the text message that he sent me.
And did you mention to him that you would, any of this, that you would, maybe be coming out or, seeking, some kind of legal action or legal recourse?
He was talking to my father a lot, and I was talking to some girl that I knew as teenagers who I hadn't seen in a while. And finally, at one point, he said something to me. He was like, "Hey, come here." And I said, hold on a second. I'm talking to my friend. And then afterwards, I went over and I pulled him to the side and I said, "Hey, Vin, why don't we just cut the shit? I'm going to war with your older brothers." And he was like, he's like,
"You said what? I'm
going to war with your older brothers."
Oh, I'm going to war with your older. Oh, that's what you told him. Really? You told Vinny Spano that? And what did he say?
He laughed. I said, he's like, "What do you mean?" I said, "I'm going to go to the 4th Estate." He said, "Where's that?" The 4th Estate just means the media.
Right.
No, I kid, Vinny.
It's on the West Coast.
Yeah. I like.
I do too. I like Vinny. I also like Vinny. And I spoke with Vinny a lot.
But he didn't take me seriously. And from what I heard, when you came on, we did a podcast and the word got out. Oh, DiMaggio was on with Freddie Vasquez last night. And then they didn't like it. I heard a lot of rumblings. But then when you came back on almost a week later and you went on during the day and said, DiMaggio's coming back on tonight, I heard they went ape shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were not happy at all. Oh, this is going to be a thing now. This guy, this real insider, knowing how we operate, is going to be on this podcast a lot now, spilling the beans. And
that's, I think, the biggest concern there, that you understand, how things operate, and you have stories, and and you were done wrong, and you have these email chains and the voicemail, and that's concerning, especially we're approaching the election next year, right?
Yeah.
2023. And so This is not
Right,
something
right,
that people need,
right.
right?
So you're right, right, because
you're definitely
it's
like a bomb out of left field, right? Because they, they already had the issue with the lawsuits and stuff and the Mike Cater thing, and then boom, here comes Anthony DiMaggio.
Yeah, right. And I'm not doing it. My primary goal, and this is actually, I'll say it on the air. Last night you were talking about the situation with Wayne Simos. He sent you an email. He wasn't happy about the last podcast. So I reached out to him today. I texted him. Okay. And I said, bro, I didn't call him bro. I called him something else. But I said, dude, I'm not doing these podcasts so that every cop that I ever, had arguments with or whatever can come out of the woodworks and make a fake name.
Right.
And try to sabotage me. I'm doing this for cops. I'm doing this because there's a severely demented man being whored around the top circles of law enforcement in the lower New York area by Westchester's most powerful and corrupt political family. The guy's out of his mind, and they don't care. They just
and you're referring to Mueller being at the MTA.
Right. Yeah, they did. Yeah, and I guarantee you, he thinks he's going to be the commissioner of the New York City Police Department someday. Knowing him, what a megalomaniac he is, I guarantee you he's thinking of his current position at the MTA as a stepping stone to be in the top cop down in New York City one day.
Really?
Yeah, and it would just be a tragedy of epic proportions if something like that were to happen. It's going to be a lot of good people in harm's way. Okay? So I said to Wayne, I said, bro, this is why I'm doing this, okay? I don't want to continue this pissing match with you. If you insist, then I'll do it. But I'll do it, which is no problem. But I don't want to. That's not why I'm doing this. You know what I mean?
And I asked you,
so let's just call it a truce, bro. That's what I basically said to him. Let's just call it a truce. I would be fine if I never heard from you again. I'm sure you feel the same way about me. So why don't we just leave it alone, okay? Right. And that's what I said to him.
And Wayne Simos, folks, if you not familiar, is the police officer that was involved in the incident where the woman was picked up, and slammed to the floor at a bar here in Yonkers, and he went to trial. So in 2007, and he was found not guilty of whatever he was charged with. I don't know exactly. She did sue. I think she got like a $1.2 million something. Showed her face. So he did. He emailed me after you spoke about him. You mentioned him because he had made some comments and stuff like that. And I was just wondering, why did he just mention anything? Because you weren't talking about him. This was never about him. Right,
and that's what I said to him. I said you had no reason to go online, get cute with a fake profile, and start trying to throw bombs at me just to sabotage me, just to sabotage my efforts. I'm trying to shed sunlight on the things that go on
here in Yonkers Police Department. I was Anthony's supervisor in 2 different precincts, very intelligent and knowledgeable, never any issues.
Yes.
I also was V's supervisor for years in the 3rd. She's a super hard worker and a great cop.
Thanks, brother. I was wondering where you've been. I heard you were watching these.
And who's that gentleman there, Mr. D. Donato?
Yeah, that's Dennis. That's my old boss in the 1st precinct. Actually, when I was a sergeant in the 1st, he was my lieutenant. When I was a cop in the 3rd, he was my sergeant. And he was also a friend,
And then everyone that's really well. Everyone that's come out to say nothing but positive things about you have all been real accounts and real people, right? And then anything negative have been fake accounts, although Wayne Simos used Tasman a few podcasts ago, but then he did admit that he was Tasman in the email that he sent me,
Yeah, I mean, look, I guarantee you he didn't think he was going to get figured out, but we got figured out. And as far as I'm concerned, he said he got his licks in and I got mine in last podcast. So as far as I'm concerned, it's over with him. I don't want to keep going with him. I'm friendly with people in his family. What happened?
I got you. No, I'm just blocking some comments, some stuff. I don't know if somebody's just messing around, stupid stuff that they're putting there. And I hope I didn't block Johnny Limo accidentally, because he thought I blocked him before because he said I don't see my comments, and I think I might have. I gotta check anyway. But so he emailed me, but I did say, hey, listen, I appreciate you emailing me and reaching out directly. But I said you're welcome to come on the show. I didn't hear anything back, or maybe he did. I don't know. No one said to me anything about it in the office. So now we move on. So, but anyway, Anthony, it's actually we're over an hour and 4 minutes. Is there anything you want to mention before we wrap this episode of this podcast up?
Let's try to. We're almost at the end of that email chain, and then it'll be behind us. It's the biggest one by far. So why don't we just give a quick synopsis of that last long email that's in there.
This one here?
No, you can, now you can skip over that one because that's
Okay.
basically, I meant to send that to the chief. And when you get down to the ones, right, so that's it.
Okay.
Oh, no, you go down to the next one. There's another one. Go to 20. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Go back up. See if, yeah, that one. Okay, so in this first paragraph, I'm just saying, hey, chief, this is a copy of an email that I sent to Cariello. He wants me to send it to you, so I'm just letting him know that I tweaked it a little bit. And what I basically say to him is, I'm explaining my gripe. It's not that long if you want to read it, or if you want to read it.
You want me to read Chief Hodges?
Take about 3 minutes to get through.
Chief Hodges,
go
to Captain.
Right, that's fine. Go ahead.
Let me.
Either way.
It appears as though the last email that I sent did not contain all the narrative. Please disregard that one. Captain Cariello emailed me earlier to tell me that you are awaiting a written account of a complaint through official channels. Below is the email that I sent to him in response, which explains that there are some confusions about what I was saying in my initial email about this situation. He advised me that I should have sent it to you, as it is not a first precinct matter. It was my intent to explain what follows in person at the meeting that was canceled. I made one very small revision to this narrative, just a couple words to make it more appropriate for a communication with my chief. Please tell me if there is still some action that you want me to take, sir. And I imagine that means taking out curses and stuff. Captain,
no,
I'm just joking. Captain, there is no complaint that I wish to make through official channels. I think that there has been been confusion about what it is that I was hoping to accomplish through official channels. And that's my fault for not being more clear about it in my initial email. From the onset, my goal has been only to have the perennial, excuse me, problem on low-level detective division. No, I know. I don't. Some words I just never. Division personnel undermining patrol supervisors addressed in a meaningful way by the leaders who have the experience, intelligence, and most importantly, the authority to bring about a significant change. This problem causes patrol tremendous grief, and it is long overdue that somebody with skin in the game at the street level address it. There are many policies and procedures in place that address situations which occur with little frequency and have little potential for animosity to flourish, but none of that addresses specifically and comprehensively the vital issue of maintaining amicable and effective communications between the department's two most important divisions during preliminary investigations of significant incidents. Respectfully, sir, I do not take kindly to having young new cops at a crime scene bear witness to a situation where I, as the highest ranking officer on duty throughout the city, have made a call, especially the right call, and subordinates from another unit display an illegitimate autonomy by leaving the scene without an announcement or a discussion, and such dereliction of duty is stamped by a lower ranking supervisor in that unit from a remote location. But the future of my concern, not the past, and I only offered the contents of my cell phone inbox as evidence of what a powder keg this problem is becoming between a more senior generation of detective division sergeants and a younger generation of patrol lieutenants who outrank them and demand appropriate respect and cooperation. It was never my intention to try to get Lou Venturino in trouble. I would have completed a YPD 28 if I wanted Lou to be punished for his outrageous transgression instead of sending out an email asking for help. He is just a symptom of a much larger problem. That's good. I like that you put that there. I have spoken at length with others who have had the same experience with Lou and other DD personnel. The only thing that everybody is interested in is fixing the issue going forward. That said, Detective Sergeant Venturino should not take my kindness for weakness. I have the voicemail and I have comprehensive documentation of his transgression. I will not turn the other cheek twice. I am willing to defend my rank and my authority rigorously at the risk of making people dislike me because I am the one in the street responding to dangerous calls, overseeing and directing operations in real time, ensuring that preliminary investigation at crime scenes are handled properly, and trying to keep everybody safe in the process. It is my job to get the job done. I have great responsibility, as do other patrol supervisors. We need the appropriate corresponding authority to succeed in handling that responsibly. I truly mean no disrespect to anybody, sir. I just didn't see any better way to address what seems to be turning into a bigger and bigger problem with each passing tour. Respectfully, Lieutenant Anthony DiMaggio, aka AD. And I like the way you worded that. That was very well written there. And I agree with you from the very beginning, from your first email. That's what I saw, that you just wanted to speak about this with the proper, individuals and resolve it and move forward. You didn't want anyone to get in trouble.
Right. Now, the last email in the chain is just a couple of words. It's from Hodges, and it's important, right?
Oh, sure. Thanks, Anthony. Let's sit down and discuss.
Right.
No.
Right.
We
can leave off there for now, because what's going to end up happening is he and I are going to end up sitting down in his office, and he's going to tell me a whole bunch of wild stuff. So we can leave. So
that's going to be next podcast. So you sit with Tim Hodges, and that's where he told you, hey, they're coming for you, basically, right? And that's when things start to get thicker, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics. Anthony DiMaggio, former Yonkers Police Lieutenant, who was wrongfully terminated, according to what Anthony DiMaggio is alleging. He has had much support from a lot of people. You have had a lot of support. People are commenting, saying great things about you. And guess who even had great words about you? John Mueller, right? He himself said you're very intelligent, methodical, reliable, someone that, you can depend on. And he was highly recommending you for the housing unit. And then now,
when I transferred from the 3rd precinct to the 4th in early 2012, he had run into my father, who he knew well, because my father was his boss in the housing unit a lot of years earlier. And he said to my father, it's called empire building. In other words, he's stealing all the good cops from all of the other precincts in the city to come work for him up in the 4th precinct. That's what he was saying. And there was a lot of that going on at the time, but I was one of them. And he actually said that to my father, putting together a dream team.
Well, you're definitely, we're a very intelligent person. You got 100, a perfect score on your lieutenant's test. And that's one thing that everyone said about you that has, that said nice things about you, that has reached out to me through Messenger or wherever, that you are very intelligent. That's what it's like the number one thing. And I respect that. I'm a big on education, and I respect people who are intelligent.
And thank you to everybody who said that. And thank you to everybody who watches these podcasts.
That's the truth, man. That's the truth.
Everybody who makes nice comments, and, Charlie Cole, Dennis, DiDonato, a couple of other people. Thank you. I really appreciate it. It means a lot.
Folks, Anthony DiMaggio, former Yonkers Police Lieutenant, who has a pretty great actually reputation. I mean, the only people saying anything negative is, people you may expect it from, right? So you have to take that with a grain of salt. But a lot of good things, man. Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for, coming on Basement Politics. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. A lot more to come. A lot more to
people
come.
Definitely are interested in what you have to say. And they are intelligent is an understatement there.
Thanks, Reg. Love you.
That's big. Anthony DiMaggio, thank you for joining me tonight. Take care, brother. Have a good week. We'll see you next Friday. We'll pick up with the Tim Hodges meeting. Shout out to Tim Hodges. Folks, that was Anthony DiMaggio, part 9 of his interview series here on Basement Politics. It's become a Friday thing. For some, it's become their routine. I appreciate the people that are showing support to the show, and also showing support to Anthony DiMaggio. I'm sure he appreciates it too. And I want to say, when people comment, like I saw some individuals make comments, Mr. Cola and Mr. DiDonato, saying great things. And actually Regina, they're also saying great things about Anthony, and they're using their profiles. They're letting you know who they are. And these are individuals that have, good reputations, great reputations as well, former police officers. That says a lot, right? When you see fake accounts, anonymous accounts commenting, saying things negative, you have to ignore that, right? Truth speakers, truth tellers do not concern themselves with being anonymous. When you're speaking the truth, you don't have to hide. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics. We are the truth tellers. right here on Basement Politics. Thank you for joining me, folks. I appreciate it. There you go, Anthony. Regina loves you too. Shout out to you, Regina. Thank you for watching. Have a great weekend. Thank you, folks. I'm out of here.
Basement Politics. My dad, Freddie.
Ready, wins. Fatality.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez. You're
I was
watching.
raised in housing. I don't think you were. I went to Yonkers public schools. I don't think you did. We can go on all night with this, honey.
Thank you for watching Basement Politics with my husband, Freddie Vasquez.
Ready, wins. Fatality.
I want to end this quick because I'm greedy and I want someone to butter chicken. So thank you.
Ready, wins. Fatality.
No! I'm out of here, folks. Peace out. Don't be surprised that Anthony take a position with the JD to clean Yonkers' house. Needs to be done. Mr. JD.
Ready, wins. Fatality.
I want to end this quick because I'm greedy and I want someone to butter chicken. So thank you.
Ready, wins. Fatality.
No!